Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Something came up over the weekend, and I guess I was unaware of this. So, new albums, I mentioned last week, a lot of the new stuff that's coming out. There's more stuff to do this week, video-wise, but this is, I'm just going to talk about an announcement about the band Gospel. I'll put in they have a new song out today called S.R.O. Gospel. I guess first and foremost, their sound you could describe as either post-hardcore or even screamo, whatever you want to call that. But that's just not telling the picture, because I personally don't like a lot of bands, a lot of music that has the kind of screaming vocals. I mean, I've grown to digest it and accept it in some cases, like it a little bit in some instances. But gospel, I mean, it's all an offshoot of punk. Gospel was one of the first exceptions where it didn't matter because the music itself was so good. I kind of tolerated the vocals, and the vocals were really kind of secondary in a lot of ways. So, Gospel were a band that they formed in the early 2000s, I think. They had an EP, like a single, out in 2004. But they put out the debut album in 2005 called The Moon is a Dead World. This is it right here. And they're really, they're post-hardcore punk, screamo, but they really are a progressive rock band at the same time. A lot of trippy uses of synths and layers, guitar textures, and sort of the atmosphere that a lot of their music on this album creates. And I'll admit that this album, I hear more of like potentially something brilliant than I actually have ever become attached to it. I've always liked it, but it doesn't have like the one or two songs. Now, I haven't listened to it in a long time, but the one or two songs that hit me over the head, like, but here it is. This came out in 2000. It's their only proper physical, only album they ever released as a physical release, up to this point. So, I mean, I liked this album when I came across it was like 2010, I think. And interesting. The band, I don't know if you could say they were going through transition or what exactly, but it was right around that time. I got the list of credits on Rate Your Music. They put out a single called Tango. I think they had another one, but I always think of them and what happened with Later the Pier. But Gospel are a band from Brooklyn, New York, I believe. Yeah. Kind of contemporaries of Apes and Androids, even, maybe, to an extent. But, in fact, I wonder, does it tell the date? 2003 they formed. Okay. Adam Dooling, vocals, guitarist. Sean Miller, the bass player. Vincent Roseboom, the drummer. And John Pastir, Pastir, also played guitar and keyboards. So they put out this song called Tango in 2010, and when I heard that, I was totally floored. Like, while I liked this, I liked that 2 or 3 times as much. I can't remember if they have another single that it just isn't listed here on Rate Your Music. A live album called Livid 2 or whatever. Came out the same year or was released digitally, I'm not sure. Yeah, the EP, and they had a live EP called Lived in 2004. Anyway, the biggest news is that this song, S.R.O, was just released. Now, it was uploaded last October, I guess, to YouTube. So, a lot of people have been listening to it for many months now. I had no idea. I mean, I knew they had reformed, because they announced they'd reformed in 2019. They were doing shows. It was like this huge deal to a lot of their fans, people that knew them, particularly in the Mars Volta fan base. But I was like really excited. It's like they're gonna put out a new album. I remember seeing something that one of the stories or interviews with, I think it was Adam Dooling, saying it was gonna be called Absurd Challenge or something like that. Or maybe he was just talking about releasing it. So the song S.R.O came out today, and I like it. The vocals are not as good as on Tango, I guess is the best way to put it, but I need to listen to it more. But it's got the heavy use of synth. There's some saxophone. There's screaming. I mean, it's well-produced screaming, but it's still screaming. But I'm gonna digest it more. But the album's called The Loser, though, and it's coming out May 13th, the full length. Now, there's more to that than just from what I was just reading. There's an interview, a podcast that I haven't listened to yet that was interviewed. It was last August, so it was before even S.R.O came out, the song. But there's a song called The Great Something that they released an epic, like a 20, I don't know. That is probably not going to be on the record. But their Twitter feed in the last, I don't know, it was the last week. Yeah, they were posting stuff last week. March 15th, looking for writers outlets that would be interested in reviewing the new record. Is that you? I don't know if they would send me something. Maybe I should send a message. Also need someone with a press release that doesn't make me vomit. Is that you too? Yeah, but they show the test pressing of The Loser on February 28th there. Which would suggest that it's not that long. It's maybe a 40-minute album, obviously, because it would be a double. Yeah, this guy, I don't know if this is the Wine and Cheese podcast. Is that the one that I was talking about? That was on March 4th. No, the one I'm talking about was back last year. Anyway, there's some piece that a lot of the fans, they played live, because that's the thing, in 2019 when they did reunite, they were playing live, and they raved about one piece specifically on the Vinyl Collective forum. And so that kind of made me curious. That might be on a separate release, another record or an EP or something like that. But anyway, so The Loser comes out May 13th. We don't have artwork or anything or track lists, or they don't even have a label. But the Bandcamp page for S.R.O states that it's being released on May 13th. It says redacted label. They thought they had some label they were going to release it under, and then they took it. They took it off. But yeah, S.R.O is a 6-minute track. So yeah, it's really a great piece of news, and it adds to the crazy, super deep month of May we're gonna have. Now I'm counting 7 albums that I'm excited, if not super excited for. Between Pure Reason Revolution on the 6th, then you have Gospel the Loser, and 0 Hour Agenda 21 on the 13th, and then you have Everything's Raw Data Field, Family Crest of the War Act 2 on the 20th, and the 27th is Coheed and Cambria, Vaxxus 2, A Window of the Waking Mind. I mean, not that it's ever happened before, again, like I said in the last video, who knows how many of these albums will be I'll be attached to and everything like that, but given there's been 2005, this album came out, and 2010 was the last music, that was 12 years ago or whatever. It's finally happening. It's kind of surreal. I mean, I guess I'm not nearly as big of a fan as some people, but it was more like when I heard Tango, I'm like, I want to hear what they're going to do next really badly. And I grew to like this a little more, The Moon is a Dead World, but if you could tolerate screaming vocals, and you like prog, you want it's a modern sort of fusing of the two, really. Yeah, I mean, this is really something. This new album, The Loser, is going to be a really big deal to some people. So we'll see. Maybe it's going to get overhyped, and I guess people that have seen them live have loved it. So one of the 2 items I guess I can just include in this video. After 19 days after it was shipped from the UK off the pre-order site, I did get my copy of An Hour Before It's Dark by Marillion, as you can see. Yeah, I don't know why it took this long. February 23rd was signed, so it was almost a month. It came on, I think it was Friday or Saturday. I think it was Saturday. So, I showed the vinyl, of course, last week in the review I did. And this isn't their 20th. They want to count it as a 20th album, fine, but my feeling of the record hasn't really changed much, but I haven't listened to it that much in the last week, so I'll probably eventually go back to it and everything. I think that's about it. There was something else. Oh, I was going to make an announcement. It's not like it's really showing anything, but I want to start doing more of the album series, or I want to do the one band I definitely am going to be featuring soon, assuming I can have the time and invest the time into taking in the music, is the Tea Party. I've seen so many comments recently and over the last few years about bands that they like. They're like Led Zeppelin or whatever, or the Doors. I just think the Tea Party are a band that I haven't talked about on camera on YouTube. I talked about a lot in the blog that more people could like. They put out an EP last year and a compilation, or two EPs compilations. The last couple of releases they put out, I've just been lukewarm about, unfortunately. But their previous full length, The Ocean at the End, I really enjoyed. And I've showed that on video now. I have a couple of the records on vinyl. They did release the self-titled on vinyl after announcing it last year, and it's like people have been frustrated waiting for this thing after they pre-ordered it. But yeah, I'm going to try to take in their, because I haven't listened to them in their whole catalog in a long time, and I was into them for a window of time about 3-4 years back in the 2000s, and I have, I think, almost everything by them on CD. A couple of the albums in the 2000s I don't think I have, but I'll have to insert images or something. But I have, and I don't have the first album, which I need to order that. So, but I'll show what I show my collection. I might just do a single video for them, but and I think I may be doing a Fates Warning series soon. So also, anyway, but yeah, what's your take on? Have you heard of gospel? Again, the name is hard to find. When you're searching gospel, you get gospel music. You know, again, I'm not really a fan of most punk. I'm not saying no punk, but I mean the Clash. You know, the Ramones. I had a little thing for the Sex Pistols at one point. I mean, there's some other bands I respect. You consider punk, you know, Pere Ubu, or was Elvis Costello punk? Not really, but I don't know. But this was the first like band that did like a lot of the screaming. The Receiving End of Sirens are another example of a band that does screaming that I like. But if you can tolerate screaming and you like prog, this is potentially right up your alley, and the new album especially. Or I would actually suggest, rather than listening to this first, check out Tango and check out the new song S.R.O. And then if you enjoy that, then this, and then look forward to The Loser on May 13th. So, but thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you next time.